southern people, like a small town, nothing's real. Mama's still doing wrong, don't tell the preacher. Nothing really changes except the weather. If you can't say something nice, you don't say nothing at all. Don't want you up in my life, 'cause you talk too much. I could leave it all, I'm feeling low. Find myself on a brand new road. If you can't say something nice, you don't say nothing at all. Don't want you up in my life, 'cause you talk too much, y'all. Gotta go to church on Sunday, get a dose of the Southern truth. Grandma's house is just down the way, and she's missing you.
All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Southern Fried Patriot, Wolf Nation, and our show Southern Talk, which we normally do on Saturdays. And excited to do that during the week. And I don't know if y'all know it, but today is National Thank God It's Monday Day. I don't know if anybody actually said that today. Everybody I've asked about that, they said no. I did not know that, and I'm not thanking God that it's Monday. But anyway, thank you, Miss Amy Patulla, for being with us. Folks, this is a fascinating story. I'm going to be quiet here in a minute. I just want to get some things out of the way, a little bit of housekeeping, and just tell you that I met Miss Amy. I didn't know her down at Book and Barrel bookstore in Ringo, Georgia, who there were a number of authors there. But I knew about this story, but I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. I thought I knew more, but I learned a lot during your talk, which was extensive. I was pleasantly surprised at how long that you really talked about the book. I appreciate the autograph, and also that you were willing to come on the podcast. We appreciate that. We love to bring great stories to people and great books. So this is a story that it's a true story. It has a lot of parts to it. It is fascinating, tragic. I mean, there's a lot of adjectives you could use, and she has her copy in front of her. This is my copy, and I love it. I'm still reading through it, but it is a fun read. I want to start by Miss Amy. And certainly you introduce yourself and your business and the book and the story, but I want to ask you, what attracted you to this story, and when did you hear about it? I mean, talk about that, and then we'll just kind of lead in from there.
Okay. Well, I practiced law in Northwest Georgia for 20 years, starting in 1986. And when I first came up here, I started hearing about this story right away. And then I retired in 2007, started Chattanooga Ghost Tours, and I started hearing about it from an entirely different angle. So it was the perfect book to write.
Yeah, and in your book, in the beginning of it, you show pictures and stuff. As you looked at it, you not only talked about that case, but you talked about some other oddities or true crime that happened in our region. I don't know if we're unique that way in the Northwest Georgia region, but there's a number of fascinating stories and cases in this area. It's one of many. It may be the most interesting one. That may be debatable. I don't know, but it certainly is odd that in this area we have this many that are that close together.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I mean, Northwest Georgia has some great cases that, my friend Ken Poston's book, Zenith Man, that talks about that case is fascinating.
Yeah.
But what really got me about this one is Tryon, Georgia is a town of only 1,700 people. And for there to be like three, two of them right together, amazingly bizarre serial killings in a row at the same time. And then also, the Tri-State Crematory, which is where the bodies in this case were sent. For that to that many in that small of a town, I mean, the odds are astronomical. So that's what really fascinates me about that.
And how long did it take you for your research to do this book? How long did it take you to put it together?
Well, like I said, I'd heard about this case from the time I started practicing law back in '86. I wasn't really researching it then, but I knew a lot about it. Okay. And I knew all the police officers and the judges and the lawyers. So I don't know if you call that informal research. I started actually writing the book probably early 2015. History Press contacted me a couple months after that, asking if I wanted to write another book for them, and I told them, well, I'm writing one right now, but it's a true crime. You guys don't handle true crime. And they said, oh, we have a whole division for true crime. And then it came out, it was published in 2016. So about a year. Okay.
And you were blessed with all these connections. I noticed that, who gave you access to things that maybe some authors might not have got access to. So you use what tools you have. And that was great that you had these connections to judges and law enforcement personnel that were involved with this case. So that was a blessing.
That, and I mean, I had one of the officers that I talked to, super nice guy, Bobby Gilliland, had followed around the crime scene photographer directly behind him and took his own photos. He gave me all his pictures. So I had, essentially those. I wound up getting the crime scene photos, and I eventually got the crime scene video as well. So yeah, I have a lot of things that have not gotten out to the public.
Yeah, and she's doing other books. So I just want to say, and we're going to dive into this case. If you're familiar, probably some of you here, you are, and we thank you, Dean, for being here, and others that are in here. This book, the story, not the book, but the story, which became the book. I had, before this actually happened, before the murders happened, before you get to the murders, this was talked about by people that I knew who hunted. They were hunters. They would go out in the area and they would stumble up on this place. They didn't really know what this place was or who these people were. And they would tell me about it. I honestly thought they were making the stuff up at first. I thought, are you kidding me? You're pulling my leg. This is not happening. And they would say, Dave, I'm telling you. And of course you can talk about it, but they would say the devil worshipers, this place, this weird place, odd. It gave them the creeps. Weird things happened there. You should go see it. I'm like, I don't even think you're telling me the truth, but this was their version of it. So what is the case? The Corpsewood Manor, what happened there?
Okay.
Folks may not know.
Interesting that you say you heard about it from hunters, because that is how the murderers actually found this place and got to know the victims. One of the murderers was a 17-year-old boy. His name was Avery Kenneth Brock, and he had been hunting in the woods, and he got permission from the victims, Joey Odom and Charles Scudder, to hunt on the land. And then he told his buddy, who was a real creep, a 40-something-year-old guy named Tony West, who was a career criminal, about them, and that was kind of how this wound up happening. But basically, Charles and Joey had lived in Chicago. Charles was the a pharmacology professor at Loyola University, and also the co-director of the Institute for the Study of Mind, Drugs, and Behavior. So, you can guess what kind of experiments they were doing. Not part of MK Ultra. Theirs was more along the lines of using it for, psychotherapy for good purposes, not to try to go kill people. But they got fed up with the rat race. So on Charles's 50th birthday, he resigned from the school, and they loaded up their Jeep, which had two huge pentagrams, inverted pentagrams on the side of the doors, with their two huge mastiffs, a couple of human skulls, and 12,000 doses of LSD. Came on down to Georgia and built themselves by hand, with no construction experience, a tiny little castle in the middle of the national forest. That was why they wound up here in the first place. They wanted land that was entirely surrounded by the national forest. Not easy to find, but they found it here. So that's why, because you usually wouldn't think a small, very southern, some people would say redneck town would not be where a couple of gay men would want to spend their last years, but that's how they wound up here. And so anyway, the whole thing about they weren't devil worshippers. Charles was involved with the Church of Satan, which has nothing to do with worshiping the devil. It's founded by some intellectuals. The name is basically poking fun at Christianity, and their whole thing was basically, do what feels good. This was, from back in 70s, 80s. As long as you don't, well, some people would say, some of them members would say, as long as you don't hurt anybody who doesn't consent to it. So that's how the whole name, the Devil Worshipper Murders, came about.
Yeah.
But that accounted for some of the weird art around things like that. They came down in, I think, early 77, 70, yeah, and built themselves the castle. Made some friends in the community. A lot of the people who were sort of outcast in the community, got along with them. But, Tryon is a really small town. And so, word gets around, hey, you should, like, what happened with you should see this place in the middle of the woods, meet these guys, because they're really different. Charles was very outgoing and gregarious, and got along. He managed to persuade, some people came up there looking for trouble, as you might expect, but he managed to talk them out of it. He was a very persuasive guy. They had, besides the manor, where they did not invite people other than personal friends in, they had what they called the chicken house. Bottom floor was chickens. Second floor was canned goods, and they say some pornography. I've never found any pictures inside the chicken house. So I can't tell you that for sure, but that's, that's what the police said was canned goods and a pornographic library. Third floor, which they called the pink room, is where they did some entertaining. It had no furniture. It was covered with pink carpet, mattresses covered in pink sheets. And of course, they had no electricity here. They had built the walls of the manor triple thick, so that with air between, so it insulated it really well. So they used, firewood, wood stoves for heat, and lamps for light and things like that. So there were some lamps up there, and there was a stove up there, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Like I said, Avery had gone back, told his roommate at the time, because his dad had kicked him out, Tony, about this place, and so Tony's idea is, hey, here's these two quarriers in the middle of the woods with nobody to hear them scream, and they must be rich because they've got, they don't work, and they got all this, they have this little castle or whatever. So he wanted to rob them. Avery wound up having a sexual encounter, or I think more than one, with Charles, and he mentioned that to Tony. Big mistake. Tony, of course, being the redneck that he was, makes fun of him a lot, I think, about it. Avery gets really defensive. He works around in his mind that these two guys have taken advantage of him. And he gets really, really mad at him because, better to be mad at somebody else than take, responsibility for your own actions.
Yeah.
And he decides he wants to kill him. So they go over there. They have two different purposes in mind. They take with them a couple of teenagers. Joey Wells, whose involvement in the matter has always been a matter of some debate, and Teresa Hudgens, who did not know what was going along. She thought she was on a blind date or first date or whatever with Joey Wells. And they just say, oh, we're going to go up to these guys and we're going to, drink and have some toodaloo, which is like huffing glue, basically. They did the toodaloo in the car. They said, the guys made their own wine and so they're going to have some wine up there with them. So they go up there. Everything goes fine for a while till Avery goes down to the car and gets gun, comes back up. Charles, like I said, being very persuasive and good with psychology, laughs it off, trying to defuse the situation. It's, you want to play a game, bang, bang, So, and that calmed things down for about another 20 minutes. And then, after that is when things went bad. Avery went down. He shot Joey, who was in the kitchen still of the house, and the dogs who were sleeping. Went back up, tied up Charles with the sheets, and they kept demanding, "Where's the money? Where's the money?" Well, these guys didn't have any cash in the house. They literally would write a check if they were going to, the corner store to buy an Eskimo pie, an ice cream bar, they lived on $200 a month that Charles got from a inheritance, and grew their own food, raised their own chickens, didn't have any of the electric or utility bills or whatever. So there wasn't money in the house. Charles kept trying to tell them that. They didn't believe him, when Charles saw Joey's body, he basically fell apart, saying, "No, this is all my fault." Words to that effect. So they eventually, killed Charles as well, still ransacked the house. All they got was a bag of nickels and dimes, a jewel-encrusted sword, some silver plate, maybe candlesticks or something like that. And then when they went back to try to escape, then their car wouldn't start, which that's one of the things. There's a whole thing about the curse of Corpsewood, and cars not working is one of the things that goes along with that. So they wound up stealing the Jeep with the huge pentagram, so not exactly an inconspicuous getaway vehicle.
Exactly.
They took off, wound up killing a Navy officer to get his car so they would have something not as conspicuous, and eventually split up. They'd gone to a strip club, had a disagreement, split up. Avery headed back towards home, and this happened. The murders happened on December 12th. So Avery came back, called his mama, I think, and whether how the police found out about it, also a matter of debate. I have been told by some people, not police, that there was tap on the line. So whatever that is. Tony eventually headed home. He got lonely, missed his family. Well, I don't know if he missed his family or what, but, he didn't have anything to do out where he was. So he headed back home, hits town, Christmas Eve. It is pouring down rain, sheets of rain. He gets his car across the line into Tennessee, and his car dies. So, he's like, fine. He gets out in the pouring down rain. The Palomino Club.
Yeah.
Which one? Yeah, it was nearby. So he close enough to walk. So he walked to it. When he gets there, he sees a police officer outside, an off-duty police officer. And he goes up with his arms out, stretched out in front of him, saying, "Okay, go ahead, take me in." And the guy was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, I'm the guy that murdered those two guys in Chattooga County. Y'all are looking for me. Go ahead." And he's like, "It's Christmas Eve. The guy's not looking to make an arrest." He's like, "I don't know." And the guy said, "Look me up on NCIC." So he looks him up, doesn't find him to start with.
Amazing.
Yeah, but Tony, I've never known anybody who went to so much trouble to get themselves arrested. So he finally calls Chattooga County, who say, yeah, we're looking for the guy. Arrest him. So they wind up, arresting him. They take him down to Rossville, Georgia, where he sits out in the waiting room smoking a cigarette. They don't put him in a jail cell or anything like that while they're waiting for Chattooga County. Well, Chattooga County gets there. They get worried. There's a problem with extradition. So they drive him back up to Tennessee and make him walk back across the line into Georgia so they can arrest him without having any problems.
Which is about a mile away, I guess, or 2 miles at the most. It's not even that far.
It's not very far, but they drive him up there.
Yeah.
He just had to walk a short ways across the line. But like I said, never have heard of somebody who went to so much trouble to get themselves arrested. So that is it in a slightly larger than normal nutshell.
Where did the killers live at as this was happening? What were their home areas?
I think around the Trina area, or
they lived there too. Okay,
like that. Yeah. So.
And the girl, it's strange that they would. The whole thing is strange, but that they would bring extra people when they were going there with intent to kill.
No one's ever known for sure why that happened, but the idea was probably that it was, good cover, so Joey and Charles wouldn't be suspicious about it.
But their car broke down, so they have a car in the area anyway.
Right.
And the girl, was she charged with anything?
She was never charged. Okay. Tony's family held her for I think about a week. And finally, she was able to, call her family. Her family's like, "You got to talk to the police right away, or you're going to be in trouble." So, so she did. She told them about, what happened. The police had already found Charles and Joey's bodies because one of their good friends had come, I think a day or two later, and then saw the bullet holes in the door, and that things just didn't look right. So got the police back out there. Police found the body, so they knew there'd been a killing, but they had no idea why. And they were kind of freaked out because they hadn't been in the house before. And like I said, there was a lot of art. Some people have called it satanic art. Yeah, I don't know that I would call it that, but yeah, there was like a big statue of Mephistopheles. There was, some very different paintings around. There were the pentagrams. Stained glass Charles had done of a Baphomet, which is like a symbol of the Church of Satan. It's a goat that's got the horns and the ears, and then the pointy chin that kind of make an inverted pentagram. There's a lot of literature. Charles was very widely read, so he had a lot of books around normal things like chess and math and science and things like that. But there was stuff about the Church of Satan and gay sex and a lot of different stuff like that. So the police were all freaked out about it anyway. So when Teresa came forward, that was really the big first break they had in the case for figuring out what the heck had happened there.
Yeah. What when those gentlemen who the killers, are they both still living in jail, or is one of them died?
One of them died in 2023. Okay. Tony did, the older one. Avery is still in jail. I had thought long ago that he might eventually get paroled because he was so young when it happened, but apparently his behavior must not have been very good in jail, because the consensus seems to be that he's going to be there for life. So
yeah, I missed the part where when you were talking about it at the bookstore, I didn't realize the part that they killed someone else too to get their vehicle. I didn't even catch that part of that.
Yeah, they had stopped at a rest stop, and my understanding, and I don't know why this is, but that they had wanted a Toyota Corolla. I don't know why, but this guy happened to have one. He was asleep in his car, so they make him get out of the car, walk him into the woods. And, I think the murderer's claim was, well, we were just going to handcuff him to a tree, but then he tried to get away, so I shot him. I don't know how much.
Which makes you, I guess the reason I've always been creeped out about trying to sleep in rest areas and stuff is because I always thought about weird stuff happening like that, which is probably rare, but the thought that people could pull up on you and stuff. Are the ones, Charles, and the other one who died or murdered, Joey. Where are they? Were they cremated? Were they buried? Did they have was it around here? Was it back home?
They were cremated, like I said, tri-state crematory. Joey's, yeah. I mean, just another
oddity.
Yeah. Joey's ashes are sprinkled on the land. They got sprinkled more when some helicopter hired by a European tabloid guy flew overhead because the roads were closed. So that was how they decided to get pictures, and helicopter and ashes. So so that spread them some more. Charles's were taken back up. He's from Wisconsin originally, so his ashes are not around here.
Okay. Is there any evidence of how in their research they found that place? I mean, it's just
well, like I said, they were looking specifically for land completely surrounded by the national forest, and I think they looked for a while and eventually found that. So that's how they wound up there.
Yeah, because that would have been before the days of internet, mainly. I mean, I would think, and so you're doing a lot of, no telling what kind of research you're having to do to even kind of figure a place like that and where it's at. And that place, like I say, it's rural and it's not easy to get there. I've never been there. We want to go and kind of walk in, but it's not easy. It's not like you drive right up to the place.
Well, I've been there a few times, but the time when I went back in November to take some pictures, it was the roads were much, much worse. They have never, ever been great, but if you're going to go, you better take a 4-wheel drive. I just found out that I tore up some pan or another underneath my car when I went there, but fortunately it was easy to fix. But yeah, to the way that I used to go, because I went a different way this last time. The way I used to go was you go, there was like a gas station that was in blue over on the side of the road on 27. You turn left there, and then you go basically till the road runs out and it turns into a dirt road. You go about a mile on the dirt road. You have to find the correct turn off to the right, and you have to find the correct pull off to the left, and then you had to hike half a mile through the woods to get there. So not easy. The way I went this time, I listened to my GPS. Your GPS, I will tell you right now, will lie. Where it tells you is not the right place. Yeah. But it took me a different way that I had never been before. I don't know if the road would have been better if I'd gone the way I usually do. I don't think so, because when we went out, it didn't seem like any of it was any better. But, it went over tons of not just rutted areas now, but, rocks and big rocks and things like that. And where GPS tells you, you have to go, I don't know, a good little more ways more down the road. And then you couldn't really see it when we got there anymore. I think used to be, maybe you might've been able to see it from the woods, but it's after there was fires, and then it deteriorated. People took bricks, things fell down, trees grew up, or whatever. So it was impossible to see where it was when we got there, but we just kind of walked in the direction that I thought it was. And we pulled some vines and things off of the arch of the gazebo. So at least there was something recognizable there now. I don't know. You probably still can't see it from the road, but yeah. Yeah.
Me and Paul LeBron, my co-host, he wanted to be here today. He couldn't for work. Mm-hmm. We're going to go, but he has a Jeep 4-wheel drive. I was like, I think it's bad, man. We're going to have to,
it is. It's bad.
Really make sure we're paying, go start, at least be there in the daylight. We might, I don't know.
Yeah, but if you go, I'd be happy to go with you again. I've said I will never drive my car back out there again.
Yeah.
but
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We want to go in the next couple 3 weeks and just do some pictures out there, and we'd be glad to take you along. And he's got a Jeep, and it'd be great. You could kind of show us, kind of how to get in this place,
Well, I can try.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's an amazing story. I mean, I guess I could say I think you could make a movie out of it because it has so many parts.
I actually have had a couple of different studios contact me about possibly optioning the rights for a feature film, but then COVID happened and that kind of ruined that. But there still may be something in the future, so we'll see.
Yeah. When one of the things that happened after I bought the book and I had put out some stuff about the story is, and you mentioned it earlier, you kind of brushed up against it a little bit, is all the conspiracy theories about this case. From the LSD connection, for him, the ultra, Dave, you've got to read up on this. This was all a Mossad operation or something. I'm sure as being an author of this book, you have heard every possible scenario about this. Why do you think that is?
There are so many there's so many wild things that are true about it that of course you're going to get lots of wild conspiracy theories or whatever, because there was the LSD that was found out there. Like I said, he was a professor of pharmacology. I'm sure he's doing experiments with that. And I'm sure that's where this came from because it was government labeled LSD, not just, stuff people buy on the streets. And not, as a lot of people have speculated, homemade. There have been all kinds of conspiracies that have said crazy things about, the professor had a lab down in the basement of this house and was making LSD down there. Well, in the first place, there was no basement. This is a 2-story building, entirely above ground. The way people have gotten this idea about there was a basement is they had a spiral staircase that, went from the ground floor up to the upper floor, and they had a big cement footing that they had poured for it. So these loonies that think there was a basement, some of whom have sworn they've been in the basement. One of whom says he saw Bigfoot in the basement. Crazy people have seen the concrete footing and they say, the government came and they're trying to keep it hush hush about this drug lab. So they filled the whole basement with concrete. And that's what this is. Not true. And like I said, when you come down with that much government grade LSD, why would you even want to make it? Which I don't think he ever had any desire or intention to ever do that. I don't need to. Now, from what I understand from some people, he was a generous host and would share. He definitely shared his wine with everybody. And what I've been told was that there were, he had a huge variety of friends, some of whom were like a local motorcycle gang. And they said, that, he had shared it with them. They were all adults.
Yeah.
The one of the conspiracy theories or whatever is that they would secretly drug people. That is not true, and I can tell you where that came from. Tony West, the older murderer, the career criminal who had incidentally killed his 2-year-old cousin by shooting him in the face when he was 12 or 14, something like that. Started real young. He had confessed 8 times without ever saying anything about drugs, and then the prosecution finally revealed, they'd found this LSD in the drawers, which they didn't think was relevant, was their story, and that's why they didn't tell. They probably should have told them about it before, but whichever. They did tell them about it before trial. Suddenly, Tony comes up with this story about, we were drugged and I thought the dogs were lions and that's why I shot them and the trees were glowing. And I mean, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But then when he was questioned at trial about, Tony, did you do any research about LSD when you were in jail here waiting for your trial? Oh, well, yeah. I mean, of course he made the entire story up. So
Where was the trial at for the killers? Was it in Chattooga County or?
Well, Avery confessed and pled guilty. Tony's trial was in Chattooga County in front of Judge Bo Loggins, who shouldn't have done the trial when he did because he knew there was a problem with the grand jury, but he was bound to determine, somebody else, Alabama had already gotten the credit first for trying Judy Neely, and nobody was going to get a jump on him on this one. He was going to get it before Mississippi got to try, these guys for the officer's murder. So he was determined there was going to be a trial, even if he knew there was a problem. Now, on the appeal, the case got reversed because of the problem with the grand jury. They didn't have enough women on the grand jury. Back in those days, they had what they call blue ribbon grand juries, which instead of having a computer, there were computers then, but they didn't really use them for this, to spit out a bunch of random names, they had a panel of people that would say, oh, this person would be good on a grand jury because they go to church with me. And that's why they call it blue ribbon, is they wanted to get the nicest, best people or whatever. And I think there were probably a lot of men on the panel making the decisions, and women should be home taking care of the kids. So they didn't get put on there enough. So there weren't enough women on the grand jury panel.
Which there has been in that area problems with, maybe not during that time frame. It may have been later, but there had been problems in the area with prosecutorial misconduct and stuff, that involved different things. It wasn't murder, but there's been some people gotten in trouble for planting of drugs. There's been people gotten in trouble for manipulating women to do sexual favors to get cases dropped or warrants dropped or whatever. So this area has a history, sadly, of some. Not saying it was prevalent, but it definitely happened. So lawyers are going to. We know that's part of you looking for a legal angle to help your case or help your client, and certainly if they were doing things like that, that would that gave them an opportunity to do that. So they brought the grand jury back in, did it again.
They re-indicted them with a different grand jury. They tried, they worked out a plea for Tony to plead guilty to life. They took it in front of Loggins because, he was insistent this was his case.
Yeah.
He refused to take the plea. So now, I don't know, most people probably don't know this. A lot of people think, oh, murder cases, why don't they do them all as death penalties? Death penalty cases, which is what it was, when Tony was first tried and he was sentenced to death penalty, are really, really expensive cases to try. Yeah. My understanding from some folks is that case almost bankrupted Chattooga County. It cost them a ton of money. So most of the folks, including, the DA's office, didn't want another trial if they could avoid it, so they were okay with taking the plea. But that, politically, it sounds better to say, well, I'm the judge who insisted they try him again as a death penalty case, which is really funny because Judge Loggins had said before, there was no way that a Chattooga County grand jury was going to sentence someone who shot a couple of queers to the death penalty. Well, Ralph Van Pelt, who prosecuted the case, was bound and determined, especially after hearing that, he was going to try it as a death penalty case. He did. So the only way they finally got the plea done was eventually they managed to get it away from Judge Loggins, had an out of circuit judge take the plea. So. Yeah.
Amazing. The people in the area, it's good that they were able to get the plea. That would have been, that trial could have been turned into a circus just for all the things that are going on. People, because it has that tabloid top, aura about it, where there's so many different things that are going on that are very unusual for the area, especially,
Exactly.
It would have been ratings gold. There's no doubt about it. But the fact they were able to do that was better for everybody. It got
international attention when it happened. Like I said, there was, tabloids from Europe over here covering the case because it was so, outrageous.
Yeah. So. Thanks for being on here. I don't want to keep you forever, and I know you're busy, but I want to get to the ghost tours and have you talk about that. One other thing, and I think I picked up on when I heard you down at the bookstore, there are, not, you don't have to say much because I know you're doing research and for your next book, but there are some things that I don't know if I'd call them mysteries or things you're still digging into about the case or certain aspects of the case. Is there anything you can share with us about that without revealing anything that you don't want to? I just remember you saying a little bit about it, that there's some things that you're still looking to in this case or something along those lines.
Right. Well, the next book is tentatively called Beyond Corpsewood. And as I said at the beginning, it is just the odds against how many bizarrely, violent serial killings and other crimes happen in that area around the same time, just astronomical. So the next book is covering like kind of the some of the other crimes, the Tryon area in general, and why in the world something like this would have happened someplace like that.
Yeah.
I have my own theories, and I'm not going to share those right now because some people might think they're a little bizarre. I got to figure out how to catch them so so people agree. But I had covered, I barely mentioned in the Corpsewood case, the Judith Neely and Hayward Bissell and tri-state crematory cases. I had much more about those. History Press got bought out by Arcadia after I had submitted my first draft. I wound up with a different jerk editor who made me take out all the stuff about the other crimes, except for, the bare little mentions that are in there, which was about a third of the book. And the people that I'd had, who had reviewed my book before I sent it in, that was some of their favorite parts. They love that. So it's gonna talk about that. But also, there are some questions that people have had forever. What happened to the so-called diary? It wasn't actually a diary, it turns out. What happened in the so-called diary? Who owns the property now? Things like that. And I am going to talk about some of those things in the new book as well.
Awesome. We will be glad to cover that. Excited to read the book, and hope we can have you back on and talk about that when that time comes, or anything about it. Anytime you want to talk about your business. And let's talk about by the way, the ghost tours. I love the phone call when you listen to the message, because they're just dying to meet you there. And,
and then it ends with,
yeah. The first time I heard that, I was like, what in the world? I wasn't expecting it. So let's talk about the Chattanooga Ghost Tours and what you're involved with there. This is a big thing all across the country. People love this stuff. And apparently it's doing very well in Chattanooga. So tell us about that.
It has been. Well, like I said, practiced law 20 years. When I retired, I decided, my kids and I love taking ghost tours other places. We'd always said, how come Chattanooga doesn't have one? So I decided to do some research, see if there were enough ghosts in Chattanooga to make it worth people's while. Turns out there's an abundance of ghosts here. So that's how I started Chattanooga Ghost Tours in 2007. Within 3 years, we were named one of the top 10 ghost tours by USA Today and TripAdvisor. It still continues to be very popular around here. But I think ghost tours are a great way, a fun way to find out about the history of an area. And it's a great way that I can sneak in some history, which my first book, Haunted Chattanooga, it does that too. It people who didn't think they liked to read or liked history, love the book and found out, yeah, they really do. So.
And you've got some cool merch items too. It's the shot pin, if I remember right. That's cool. I don't know if the way I'm saying that might be correct, but it looks like you're getting a shot, but it's a pin.
Yeah, it looks like a syringe. It looks like a syringe filled with blood, actually, because it's got red, on the inside. I don't know if you saw the label on it. It says Chattanooga Ghost Tours is dying to meet you. So that was a line I took from the phone message.
I am definitely going to buy one of those. I just haven't done it yet, but and these are like a lot of them, I guess, run in the evenings or, late evening or something. Mm-hmm. And you get, how much walking is involved with some of the tours?
It's about a mile, but usually you're going to stop for a story every 3 or 4 blocks. And some of the places there are steps you can sit on or whatever. So you're not walking the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah, there'd be people who would be interested in knowing that. And those run on mainly weekends, except for maybe holidays or something.
Nope. We do them year round, and every month except for December, January, and February, we do them every night.
Oh, okay.
December we'll do it on the weekends as well as like weeks. Basically, kids are out of school, and same with January and February. So when there's a holiday weekend or whatever, then usually we're doing it some extra times as well. But yeah, for the rest of the year, we do it every night.
Yeah, and I'm going to do that tour as well. I was hoping to do it around the holiday and just got busy. Just things didn't line up the way I want them to, but I'm going to do it. And folks, if you're in the Chattanooga area or you travel in, this is a place that's really big on tourism. So while you're here in Chattanooga, make sure you put that on the list. It's very affordable and you're going to have a great time. You're going to meet people. I'm a people person, so I love to meet people. I engage people when I'm around them, and I like the opportunity to do that. So you learn about people and you learn about different things. And I just like that. Folks, get this book. Get this book. This book can be found where? Where can you get this book?
Any place that books are sold. Locally it's sold in bookstores, pharmacies, and even hardware stores. But whether Amazon, Walmart.com, iTunes, Google Play, any place that you can buy books, you can get it.
Well, thank you for giving us this book, because now it's a blessing to all of us. And on the back we have a picture. I guess that's the
those are the killers.
Those are the killers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Charles.
Folks, there are some pictures throughout the book and stuff. So it takes you on a journey. I'm still reading it, so I can't. That's why I didn't want to say too much, because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. And I'm still reading through the book, as well as some other ones we just recently got. She mentioned Zenith Man, which is right here behind me somewhere, right there. So this book is going to join us on the wall. I'm fixing to redo this wall. And Zenith Man, this book, and my book with Mary Fagan Keene about little Mary Fagan, also of Georgia. Georgia's fascinating. We don't have to leave the state. We got all these great stories, crimes. It's sad they happen, but we have a great wealth of stuff to pull from to get these stories and books, and right here in Georgia. So it's amazing. You don't have to go far. And new books that will be coming. And like Brother McCracken said down there in Ringgold, I'm glad we still have bookstores that we can go into and actually pick up a book and look at it. And we're going to be doing some live shows from the bookstore. We talked to them about that. They're all on board. We're going to talk to people that are shopping and talk to them and, try to get people to know that it's there, and they're doing great. We want to help them do even better. And I think it's a great partnership. And it's my first time being there was that night.
It's a great bookstore, right? I mean,
it is.
Many bookstores have a bar in it too.
So. Yeah, and the coffee was excellent. I even bought some, I don't know, beer nuts or something. It's like, wow, this is great.
And stuff. It's really good.
They are great folks, and it's a small town. And we want to support small business anyway. It's plus a bookstore. I love books. I like digital, but I got to have it in my hands. That's what I like.
Me too. Plus, you just don't get all the pictures and things like that with the other ways to
yes. Read it. Well, thank you so much for being on today on the podcast and our Southern Talk. And
thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much, and you have a blessed day. Happy New Year. It's 2026, and I hope the ghost tours just stay sold out and the books continues to sell, and we'll be looking for your next book.
Can't wait to see you again. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you. And folks, we'll get offline for now. We'll be back later, me and Biscuit Boy probably, and thanks for joining us on a Monday afternoon. And I don't know if you were thanking God that it's Monday, but that is National Thank God It's Monday. You're probably glad it's over halfway over, at least for the work day. I usually am at work, but I was off this afternoon. I want to do this and some other things. So, and in our area, it is beautiful today. It is absolutely gorgeous outside. Not real cold or anything. It's not hot. It's just beautiful. We got some great weather this week. So if you're going to do ghost tours, you better get those tickets today and go online and all that. And listen to that message. You need to call so you can listen to that message. We are dying to meet you. I mean, you could be in a movie with that wall. I couldn't even do it. Take care, Miss Amy, and we appreciate you so very much. All right, folks. We'll go out with some music and let her get out of here. Take care.
at life for the southern people. Like a small town, nothing's real. Mama's still doing wrong. Don't tell the preacher. Nothing really changes except the weather. If you can't say something nice, you don't say nothing at all. Don't want you up in my life, 'cause you talk too much. Yo, I could leave it all. I'm feeling low. Find myself on a brand new road. If you can't say something nice, you don't say nothing at all. Don't want you up in my life, 'cause you talk too much, y'all. Gotta go to church on Sunday, get a dose of the Southern truth. Grandma's house is just down the way, and she's missing you. Out on the airwaves, mud soaked and loud. Cornbread man talking, biscuit boy proud. Static crackles like a rattlesnake's tail. Voices rolling like a freight train wheel. Cornbread man, biscuit boy, talking like love and southern joy. Cornbread man, biscuit boy, raise your glass, make some noise. Gravy drips in the southern drawl. Stories thick like the cypress tall. Radio rebels riding wild and free, shouting truths like a storm at sea.